your season coming in, expectations, and how you finish tomorrow. But how do you feel like when you look back?
Yeah, I think that when you if you look at the body of work during the regular season, is we've got a group that has competed really hard. I think that the early part of the schedule was tough. We overcame some adversity. I think when you look at it, is we talk about we want to be a disciplined team. We want to strain. We want to be tough, and we want to play smart football. And I think with the exception of the Oklahoma game, we were able to kind of be who we needed to be successful. We're a blue-collar group. We're not overly fancy. But we play solid football, and so that's how I would tell you. We had a really devastating loss on a Thursday night, and sometimes when you have those types of losses on a Hail Mary, that can really fold a team. And I don't think it did. And then we followed that up with a really hard loss at Oklahoma State in a game that we led late in the fourth quarter. And I think it shows the resiliency of these guys by able to finish strong down the stretch.
What have you been able to do to relax in the hopefully 15 minutes of off time we've had?
Yeah, December there's not much relaxing going on, Kevin. So this is probably the busiest month in the entire calendar year, and so from a time off perspective, between retention, recruiting signing day, recruiting in the portal, and then bowl prep, there's not a lot of downtime. So get about a 3 or 4 day stretch kind of after the bowl game, and then it's kind of right back at it. So like the February is when I'm starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but it won't be till February. So we were able to enjoy down at the bowl site here in Charlotte. What we've tried to do is minimize the activities with our players so they have free time, but also because of it, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, is making sure that the staff has time with their families. And so we're able to do that, even though we practice on both days. Like Dax was at practice yesterday, he had time of his life. And so making sure we take some time as staff members and really celebrate the season and spend quality time with our families.
Able to sneak in a little bit of time with your family?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were able to. Santa Claus came early. Santa Claus delivered before we came to Charlotte, and then we've had two, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day where we spent a lot of good family time together.
And then this last day or so, do you have to resist the temptation to tweet, to watch one more thing, to say, hey, man, we can
Yeah.
change that?
Yeah, I think the hard thing from a coaching perspective is when you play and you have a little bit more time than normal, is you want to try to do more. And I think that's a mistake. I think that being probably more simple is the better way to go, because there's so many distractions during this time of year, and you're playing different people, or you're playing some different guys more snaps than normal. And so I always think that, if we can be really confident in our alignments and our assignment, our execution is going to be a lot better. And so we're probably erring on that.
Is that a lesson?
Yeah, without question. We've played well, in our last games going back the whole time. Really, the one exception was against Minnesota, where we had some guys out, and we tried to do some things in that game that we didn't necessarily do in the regular season. And we played as poorly as any game offensively we've played during our entire tenure here. So that's a lesson learned. You grow from it and make sure you don't repeat it.
Side about Connor Harrell, who obviously backed up Drake May this year. Not a ton of tape on him. I know he got in, toward the end against Campbell. But with the film that you did get to see on him, what kind of things stick out to you, and what are some of his strengths?
Well, I go more about we recruited Connor. I know his game very well from my time at Alabama. He played for Mark Freeman at Thompson High School, right outside of Birmingham. We had a quarterback at Troy that was a 3-year starter that played for Coach Freeman at a different place that when he was at Gulf Shores. And so when you look at Connor, first of all, he's a winner, and he won big at the highest level of Alabama football. And he's really fast. Okay, he's a natural runner, but he throws the deep ball really well. And now in his limited snaps this year, they haven't necessarily asked him to do that just because the time of game he went in. But when you go and you watch his stuff from Thompson, post balls, go balls, like moving the pocket. He's accurate. And so we have a full understanding of what type of player he is. And I also know that how he's been tutored as a high school athlete, how he's handled pressure, because those games, you go to the Thompson Hoover game, those are, that's as pressure as playing in the Mayo Bowl here, and so we expect him to play well, and we understand this is his shot, and we expect to get his best.
What kind of makes preparation unique in that sense? Obviously, like you said, you're familiar with his game from high school. What kind of makes the preparation unique against a player that doesn't have a ton of snaps, but at the same time?
So there's some educated guessing going on. So we fully understand what we've watched with North Carolina on tape isn't necessarily going to be the same offense. I don't think they'll change up the schematics of what they're asking their O-line to do or the running backs to do, but I think we're going to see a lot more read game from the quarterback. And so what we've done to prepare for that, that's what we do offensively. And so what we've tried to do is we've gone a lot of good on good during this bowl prep. Very little scout team work, more good on good. It creates more competitiveness in practice, but it also gives our defense a more realistic look at what they could see in the game. Yep.
You mentioned the excitement that some of the backups, some of the guys from the that program. Getting a sense of that in those practices this year, that they were really viewing this as, hey, this is my chance to show what I can do.
Well, I think too is they changed the rules where, the 4-game redshirt doesn't count for the bowl game. Yeah. So what you're going to see, I think the two guys that are going to play more than they played are Corey McIntyre and DJ Oliver, and I think those are two guys that have really taken advantage of our developmental program because they've changed their bodies. They use the scout team work. You look at Corey McIntyre; he goes against Zach Frazier for 12 straight weeks. You're going to get better, and he competed, and you can see the progression he made. Same with DJ Oliver; he went down on scout team, and think about all the really good running backs we've played this year, and those were the guys that he was, and he was down there having to make plays versus our one defense. And those two guys took advantage of scout team, development, lifting program, all that, and they've earned that opportunity. We got a few more guys that are going to play on special teams that maybe haven't played as much. And I've said this about North Carolina because obviously they've got some players out. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing for them because those guys are going to play with so much more energy and excitement because this is their first meaningful playing time.
What are you expecting